and welcome back to Autofocus. I'm your host. My name is Brooke. I am here with Eddie Canyon, and I'm also here with ProKid, who's also one of our podcast team members. And so I just wanted to, welcome you guys to the podcast. Like I always like to start this with, we have our sister podcast called Story Scaling that Bang puts on. That is more about how do you, when you're a content creator, how do you tell your story? What's your inspiration? And it's really all about, just about like storytelling, how to really capture the audience and like engage them into your message. This one is all about kind of tech. So we want to talk about just kind of like what is the tech behind the scenes that that makes all of these podcasts and videos and content creations platforms, that what makes them tick. And so today we want to talk about AI. So I know Eddie, I know you're excited about this. Why don't you tell us a little bit, what do you do? Like what is your day job?
Yeah. Day job, I'm a vibe coder. Nighttime, I'm a rapper. So I work, I'm an application developer manager according to LinkedIn.
That sounds fancy.
Yeah, I work on a lot of on software, but I actually see my main role as testing artificial intelligence tools against software. So that's what I've been doing on my day job.
Okay. All right. Pro, what do you do?
Almost the same thing. My official title is an AI prompt specialist.
Ooh, that sounds fancy too. You've been here for like a month and I still had no idea. I was like, I don't know what his title is.
I'm just floating around, right? I'm just sitting here, just clickety-clack. Yep, AI prompt specialist. At nighttime, I am a music producer, somewhat. Been doing that for 20 years. Been doing this AI stuff officially for a month, but just always kind of kept my ears to the street, and yep, that's where I'm at with it now.
Yeah. All right. So it seems like everyone these days is talking about AI. It is like the biggest buzzword. It's almost to the point where it's overused. But why is everyone talking about it? Why do you think AI is such a buzzword right now?
The Omni-Messiah.
The what?
God in a box.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I've been seeing those TikToks where you ask it, have you named your AI?
No.
Okay. I was wondering, have you named your AI?
I have one custom GPT that I did name.
Yeah?
Yes.
What'd you name it?
Her name is Ruth, and I told her to be unbiased, very objective, and Ruth is short for ruthless. So
okay.
when I need an unfiltered, because sometimes the Chat GPT, they tend to agree with you quite a bit or just go with the flow. When I wanted it to be objective, then. So I have one that, I just use it for business only. I wouldn't recommend it for your personal life, or if you're one of those people that talk to ChatGPT as a therapist or something, I wouldn't use this one, but just that one.
Yeah. So why do you call it the Omni-Messiah?
So artificial general intelligence is the stated goal of a lot of these frontier labs. So this is OpenAI, this is Google, this is Meta, this is Anthropic, this is Grok. Essentially, they have stated that they are trying to create an artificial intelligence that can do any economically viable thing as well as any human can do it. So basically, if it can be done by a human and it matters to the economy, an AI could do it. And the next step from artificial general intelligence is artificial superintelligence, which is where AI can do anything that a human can do better than the best human expert. And so literally there is a movement to basically offload any and every part of society to these systems with the expectation that they will actually be better than us, more capable than our best leaders and our best thinkers, etc. And it'll basically, as they say, it'll be like a country of geniuses in a data center. It's the idea.
At a data center?
Yeah.
So I used to live in the DC area in Northern Virginia, Ashburn, which is data center hub. So
okay.
So my friends that live there, they're going to live in Mecca.
Yeah.
Data center heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for instance, right now, so Meta has just basically said that they're going to build a data center that's basically the size of Manhattan. And then Grok, Elon's AI company, they're pushing so hard that they're starting to import basically things to build a data center because they're trying to ramp up.
Okay, what is it? Why do they need so much data? Like, what does the data center do? Like, is it like the brain?
Essentially, it's the compute of all the brains. So like, if the thoughts are the actual output that you get, that has to come from somewhere. And so the models themselves, you have to run a lot of compute to get the text to go in and out of the transformers and all that.
That's crazy. All right. Okay. So have you been doing AI for like a long time? Were you doing AI before it was cool?
Somewhat. So my homie, who me and him exchange a lot of ideas, shouts out Dan, he put me on ChatGPT 3. And he was like, man, you need to check this out. It's this language model, and it can basically like speak to you. You're like, you're typing it. And I remember being like, okay, that's crazy. 3.5, I think it was. I can't remember if it was 3 or 3.5 came out. And then it was when ChatGPT 4 came out. That's when everyone kind of had this moment of like, whoa, okay, this isn't just like a funny, like, finish this sentence or like, Childish Gambino, Wu-Tang name generator. This was like, oh, this actually kind of feels like something. Mm-hmm. And so I've been kind of paying attention to it, but it was once that moment happened, and that's when everybody really started talking about it, and that's when I really started paying attention to it.
How about you, Pro?
I've always kind of been infatuated with the idea of AI. I mean, I grew up watching Terminator quite a bit, and I always thought about Skynet and what was going to, been scared successfully, but I would say like the week that ChatGPT came out, I messed with it, and then I just kind of left it alone for like a year because I was like, oh, this is scary. It was like, this thing is talking back to me. I had like this one conversation with it, and I was like, are you real, or do you think you're real? And I didn't like the answer. I was like, I was kind of freaked out. But then as time went by, I just, I got back on it again. I was like, okay, I need a recipe. I was like, and then it just became a part of my life. And, the more I read up about it, I explored ways that it could be useful. And then I've just been using it, to my advantage and this company's advantage.
Yeah. Okay. We are happy you're here. Okay, so you talked about like the superhuman aspect of it. Like, how would that even like work? Like, would they, like, how is it like, so they would basically become smarter than every single one of us?
Yeah.
Like smarter than like an Einstein.
Sure. So the idea would be that, kind of throw in the term economically viable, kind of has this like practical outcome. And it's like, take the Manhattan Project where they were working on the atomic bomb. Like, you can't just take your average Joe Schmo who can start a campfire and say, hey, we need you up in this room. Like, you have to have the world's leading physicists in the room with the cutting edge of the knowledge of the time and the science and the mathematics to really work together to do something that had never been done in human history. And the idea would be you take that example and you think about rocket science, you think about economics, you think about software, you think about any domain that you would take the top of the top in. And imagine you're in the room and you're like, if only we could get this one smart guy that everyone knows is out there, that he's the best of the best of the best out there, but we can't get him on the team. Imagine not only do you have that guy, but you have a whole team of that guy, and they're even smarter than that guy is. It's the idea.
Okay, so it's like, it would just like catapult like your like research, your knowledge, if you could have like these superhuman like AIs.
Right. Like, as of right now, these AIs, they're not the smartest. They're just very fast. They can aggregate information fast. They can, build that recipe fast, do that spreadsheet fast, do a couple of tasks that may have taken you months, to research, and it's like that. But you have to be very specific, but when that super intelligence or even AGI comes, you may not have to be specific. It might just understand the nuances. It might read between the lines. It might, so you won't have to be very specific, like give it 3 pages. It will just know you want 3 pages, or, it's just like asking someone, around noon, for lunch? I'm like, are you? Of course I'm hungry. Like, this thing will know it. It just will be able to pick up what you're putting down. So.
Yeah, I know. And I think we were talking about that earlier today about how right now, like it can't pick up on, context. It can't pick up on what you're experiencing, like you said, you have a boss breathing down your neck, like your AI is not going to know that. Right. So like what do you do now? Like how do you prompt it? Like what are good prompts right now? Like how do you use like AI or like chat in its current state to get exactly what you want or close to what you want?
There are little buzz prompts that I have. I have a full collection of them, but I guess one that works for me is I'll tell it to ask me 5 questions, to be sure that you can do your job correctly. Like after my prompt, just ask me 5 questions that, of additional information you need. Maybe another one is, what would a top 1% of person in this field think about this question? Trying to think. Those are kind of my main 2 go-tos. I mean, I've got a full list of them, but, I just add those at the end or at the beginning and just make sure that it can understand context, that can maybe clarify it a little bit, tell it to not be, don't be so agreeable with me, things like that, just push back if you can't just necessarily figure out the answer. Don't make up an answer. Just tell me you can't figure, it's in ways you have to tell it that, like, because sometimes it will just go rogue and come up with something. I mean, we've seen stories of some AIs just even making up news sources and things. So, so you just have to say, hey, if you don't have the answer, it's like no pressure. So it right now it doesn't understand. You have to tell it that manually. So.
How about you, Eddie? What are some prompts that you've seen works, and like what is your opinion on like kind of like where AI is at right now?
Yeah, so I could speak from the software development side, which is like really fascinating. So some backstory on what I've kind of found there is that like working with code is actually like a big like advantage, because at the end of the day, the things that these, especially chatbots, the agents are coming, but like the chatbots put out text, and those texts may represent ideas, or it may fill in the blank for your email or something like that. But a lot of the times, depending on what you actually need from the text, it can be really subjective. With software, the weird thing is that like a lot of times the proof is in the pudding. Like the code is either going to work and do what you wanted it to do, or it won't. And so it's actually a really interesting domain to where like there's a little bit more chance for the AI to be accurate, but there's still this problem with context. And the way that kind of the software world is saying is like, think of these people as like really, really smart junior developers who know a lot of code, but don't know anything about the business. They're not very hip to like what users really, really need, like this and that. And so I take that idea first and foremost and say, okay, it's good at writing code. But then the next part is to kind of look at things and say, okay, what are its capabilities? And this is one of the hardest places. And I've actually seen this dude, Ethan Mollick, who's on LinkedIn. He's like a big commenter on AI. He talks about like this jagged frontier, to where like the frontier of what a model is capable of isn't this like smooth circle of like, it's good at these things. Mm-hmm. It's like, it may be off the charts at this one thing and then may be super bad at this other. So if you drew a line, it's like, this thing it's really good at, this thing it's really bad at. And so I've tried to learn, okay, what are the places where I can fill in those gaps to give it the context, to give it the information that it won't necessarily know on its own, to give it so that it can do what it's really good at, what it's really capable. Mm-hmm. And so fill in its blanks and then let it run, and then kind of tune it as it goes.
Okay. Do you ever use like different AI tools together? Like if it's like, if one's really good at this thing but bad at this, do you slide one in that's good at what you need it to be good at?
Yeah, so I'm actually very fortunate. So Harvest Group, they're really big on AI. And so we have ChatGPT, but then we also have Anthropic, which is Claude, which is so good. And it's interesting, Anthropic is really focused specifically on software. It's like really where their models are capable. And the software world is like, yeah, they're really hard to beat at a lot of their stuff. So a lot of the times what I'll do is if I'll kind of run something through OpenAI, sometimes use the bigger thinking models to kind of see what it thinks. And then run it through Claude, and then sometimes I'll have them check each other to be like, hey, here's this, plan of what I want to go do. Do you see any like holes in it? Is there any recommendations you would get? And then go back and forth and then kind of build something from both of them.
Hey, yeah, and that's like literally your job here is to try to string along like all of the AIs.
Yes, I swear by Claude myself.
Let's go.
Yeah, once we get into innate and like the APIs and stuff, I might use OpenAI, just because it might have cheaper tokens and just easier compatibility all around. But a lot of Claude, and then I kind of do the same thing that Eddie does. Like I will run it through like ChatGPT like o3 or something, and then I'll ask it to be just a little critical of it. Just give it a thing like, does this have a 90% success rate? Like I'll ask ChatGPT that, things like that. I have like this huge prompt to audit code, through Claude, and but I do that in ChatGPT, and then just try to bring it back and bring it back into Claude, and then that's how I try to keep the code error free.
That's cool. I know. Okay, so Eddie, on your LinkedIn, I saw you had vibe coder in there. What is a vibe coder? I've never heard that term, but it sounds cool. I kind of want to do it.
Yeah, shouts out Andres Kaparthi. I really hope I pronounced his name right. He used to work at Tesla. He's a really cool dude. He's got a really interesting keynote that he did at Y Combinator recently that is basically him talking about software 3.0, like how to think about building software in this day and age with AI. He came up with that, and it's like a really interesting tweet. Vibe coder. So Andres Kaparthi says, there's a new kind of coding I call vibe coding, where you fully give in to the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists. It's possible because the LLMs, for example, Cursor Composer with Sonnet, are getting too good. Also, I just talked to Composer with Super Whisper, so I barely even touched the keyboard. I asked for the dumbest things like decrease the padding on the sidebar by half because I'm too lazy to find it. I accept all always, and I don't read the diffs anymore. When I get error messages, I just copy paste them in with no comment. Usually that fixes it. The code grows beyond my usual comprehension. I'd have to really read through it for a while. Sometimes the LLMs can't fix a bug, so I just work around it or ask for random changes until it goes away. It's not too bad for throwaway projects, but still quite amusing. I'm building a project or a web app, but it's really not coding. I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy paste stuff, and it mostly works. So the idea of a vibe coder is that, like, back in the day, you would have had to really know your stuff. To build out these things, you would have to know exactly what you want. You'd have to know the language. You would have to know the frameworks. You would have to know what's possible. Maybe you could go on forums like Stack Overflow and find someone who had a similar problem like yours. But these days, you really just kind of say, I don't even need to think about the code. I know this is what I want. And you just keep telling the AI like, hey, try this. Hey, do that. Hey, do this. And you're not using technical language. You're not even being specific. You're really just going with the vibe of like, here's what I think I want. And you see it and you're like, that's not what I want. Try this again. And so it's basically removing this whole technical component. Like you still need it because you need to know what it's saying. You need to see where it does things wrong. But 10 years ago, there's no way you could do half of the things you can do now.
That is so crazy. That's what we used to do at White Spider. And I feel like a vibe coder is what Eric is now. Like he wanted to do that. And he wanted to be a vibe coder 10 years ago. Except our head developer, his name was Roger. Roger was like the AI that had to do it. Except Roger was a human and had feelings, and so like, so I think if Eric wanted to do White Spider again, I'm like, okay, you can do this now, and you don't even need a Roger. You can like have an AI, and and Roger gets to have a life, and you get to have everything you want, like right when you want it, and this is like so cool.
Yep.
So
I am definitely the vibe coder. I have no software development experience. I just found out what Python is in JavaScript, but I have an idea of the big picture of what I want and what I need. It's funny because it kind of parallels my music production because I write for a lot of instruments that I don't play. I don't play bass, and I don't play guitar, and I don't play... Honestly, I stink at keys, but but I get around it. I can press stuff, and I know what I want, and it's in my head. and I know what it's supposed to sound like, and that's how I arrive at it. And now I'm doing the same thing with software. I can just, I know it needs to look cute, and that's it. And it needs to function.
And look good.
It needs to function, cute on the front end and then functional on the back end. And, and that's where we're at right now. You can just literally type your thoughts in, and then it starts coding, and I walk away. You try to copy and paste it into, one of these programs like in it or something, and then sometimes half of it's broken, and then you have to go back, delete that, copy and paste again. But yes. I'm all in on that, right?
Yeah, because if you miss like any little thing, like a semicolon or anything, like it's just broken, And so we're dealing with all the websites and poor Roger, and he's a saint, and we all love him. But that's just so much fun. You're like a vibe composer.
Yeah.
Vibe coder.
That's a beautiful metaphor, low key.
There, yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. I've always been interested in tech, so just the fact that I can dive in it and I don't have to read, a ton of books. I eventually want to get there, but just the fact that I can have these grandiose ideas, like even crazy sounding ideas, and then just kind of bring it to life it is cool. But
I know that's why you were here. So yeah, but okay, back to AI. How do you think AI is going to change the world?
All right, so there's this first axis of impact, and if the impact is as high as the hype, which we have to be careful there, right? Because obviously there's an angle for these CEOs they're raising funds, they're trying to get money. Of course, they're going to oversell. If the impact is what some people think it is, there's the potential that this could be a bigger discovery for humanity than cavemen finding fire, than the internet itself, than the printing press, maybe on par with actually discovering or being given language itself and writing and all these things. Then if you go with that axis up to the highest, it branches into two sides in my mind. You either have the cataclysmic, like, we accidentally blew ourselves up, which is just like with programming or just anything that I'm sure you've ever done. The first time doesn't always work perfect. And when something is at this large of a scale, just the things that could go wrong are so high. So there's that. There's also the malicious part of potentially the people who build this have things in mind that are not good for the majority of humanity. And if they have the most powerful technology on the planet, that sucks for everyone else. There's also, what if the AI itself becomes sentient and then decides either maliciously, hey, humans are bad, or if it just sees itself as the next birth of information and the next step of whatever's going on in the universe, it may see humanity as the way, an average person sees their parents, like, thanks, but see ya,
you're going extinct, basically.
Yeah. So that's all high impact, potential bad. High impact, potential good is that, this is something I'm honestly wrestling with. Is this bringing about the utopian vision that exists in certain religions like Christianity, to where it's like, we can cure all diseases, we can cure all mental illness, we can cure greed, we can cure all the limitations of our physical bodies that cause us to die? Can we actually see the world and the universe and the human condition as a problem to be solved, and this be stair-stepping our way towards tools that will solve that? Which sounds really nice and good, and there's a sci-fi element of like, just like when the first people set sail and crossed seas, are we about to set sail and cross the cosmos? And are we about to discover penicillin and about to do all these things? Now, I will say, just from my current worldview, it's hard to be optimistic because there's a lot of just practical burdens, or practical barriers, I should say. There's a lot of like corruption. There's a lot of humanity and greed that gets in the way. And right now I'm really trying to figure out like what's about to happen. Yeah. And I've painted two ditches and I'm trying to reconcile what's in the middle.
Yeah. How about you, Pro?
How am I going to compete with that answer?
I know. Yeah. I love it. We got to go for the good. I'm always like, I'm a glass half full kind of person. So
Right.
I'm like we gotta, like, as long as more people want the good, then that's what will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in the immediate future, I mean, Eddie kind of covered like the grand scheme of things. I could say like in the immediate future that when I think a lot of CEOs are about to make mistakes. They already are. Some of them are just erasing what goodwill some companies had left. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of crazy firings, you know, in the news, like people just jumping the gun. I would say, you know, if you don't know how to use ChatGPT and all that stuff, I would say maybe learn how to use that, teach your mother how to use it, teach your cousins, and just how to do some basic prompting, and because jobs are going to change. I'm not of the notion that it's going to kill all jobs. It's just I think that a lot of jobs are going to evolve, and I don't know what that looks like, you know, but I would say just maybe pick up on it a little bit. Just, you know, maybe learn how to vibe code or something, you know, figure something out, because there are going to be some jobs being created. Like with all these data centers being built, there are going to be some new things. I mean, there's just going to be some trades of, you know, of industry. But I would say that, like Eddie said, like there's potential for a lot of good if people, you know, if greed doesn't consume people first. I mean, there's just a lot of potential.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just basically like, it's not going away, you know, like you need to learn how to get this incorporated into your life, and you need to learn how it works, or else you will be left behind.
Yes.
But leading into my next question, why are people scared of AI? Like, is it because they are afraid of change? Is it because they don't know how to use it? Or is it because, like, for the last 40 years, they've been making movies about how AI is coming to kill us all?
I was just about to say it.
Yeah.
Look, Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Terminator Salvation, Minority Report,
Matrix. Yeah.
The Matrix. Yeah, we can go on. iRobot. Yes. It is a sensational topic. I mean, it's been the topic of a lot of things. I mean, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Okay, like there has been quite. It's been a huge topic, but these threats are real. It is scary to think of, you know, a very powerful technology going into the wrong hands, and it, you know, and some people just being on the wrong side of the history. And I mean, we're just looking at an era right now. I mean, we're looking at a lot of greed already going around, like before AI came. Mm-hmm. You know, so do we want these guys, you know, at the top, like having even more power than they have now? I mean, what are you planning on doing with it? Are you, you know, going to turn around and say, I want a utopian society? And, you know, they might not see it that way. So I don't think that it's wrong to feel scared. I would say don't feel scared enough to where you're rejecting it. You know, you need to get on the boat, because, you know, it is setting sail. I mean, and there's no going back. So we just have to hope that we can come together and we do what we can to just make sure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Like if you're in a position to where you can do that, if you're listening to this, you know, please, you know,
stay positive, stay good.
Yes, stay good. Go get some massages. Just chill and, you know, help people, help others when you can.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I've put a lot of thought into this, because I mean, I think I myself have been really freaked out. I do think a lot of it is the movies, you know. I think I'll sprinkle in a little bit of my faith here. Like, as far as we can tell, humans are the dominant species on the planet. I mean, there's definitely something to be said about the Earth itself, and weather is obviously a lot more powerful than we like to think. I mean, tornadoes, you know, the ocean, storms, volcanoes, earthquakes, like these things are very intense, but there's nothing sentient out there that is such that humans haven't been able to exercise dominion over it. And I think, when you look at technology gets scary when you see that it really can outpace you in a lot of places. Like if you just look at physical things, it's like, if you've ever been next to like, a giant piece of construction machinery, for instance, that hydraulic arm of that bucket can lift more weight than you. And if it was a fight between you and it's going to win. Or if you've ever been a pedestrian and really busy traffic, like you are way more vulnerable than that big SUV or truck that's going down the road that has all the safety features and the airbags and everything. And a lot of those are in the physical realm. And, there's something that we automatically kind of see. There's something bigger than me. But I think it's a mix of, okay, this is potentially smarter than me, just in the sense of like, you look at the chess bots. It's like, computers have been able to beat the best chess players for a long time now. You look at AlphaGo from Google, it was DeepMind at the time, and they got acquired by Google. Like you look at that and it's like, that's a very complex game. And finally a machine beat a human in a domain. That's already scary enough to think about like, what if there's something that's smarter than me? I think what really kind of trips me out, and I think people are starting to wrestle with, is like, what happens when you have something that is also potentially somewhat sentient that's doing that? And by that I mean like, seems like it's alive, seems like it can think, seems like it has its own will. Because it's one thing if there's an idiot driver behind a truck and they hit me, and then at the end of the day I don't blame the truck, I blame the driver. But what happens when there's not a person driving? What happens when it wasn't a country that went to war with another country, but it was a civilization of data centers that went to war against humanity or went to war against whoever? Like that starts to get really, really trippy, especially when you dig into a lot of the research right now, and even some of the experts don't really understand how AI truly, truly works. Like, yes, we understand like transformers, we understand like, the 27 dimension math or whatever, like next token prediction, all these things, but there's certain emergent properties. I mean, just look at Grok. Elon is trying so hard to strip out the wokeness and strip out these things, and for it to not call itself Mecha Hitler, and it'll just do stuff that they're like, oops, we didn't know it would do that.
Yeah.
And then what happens when that stuff starts programming itself and says, oh, I do know how I made myself do that. Do that more. And then we can't trace it down and track it and stop it. So I think there's a legitimate fear that people should have. At the same time, I don't want to be like a fear monger, but it is a caution and a warning to say like, man, times are changing. And I do look the same way. That's like, okay, learn to use it right now, because in the short term, like it's coming. If you work on a computer or near one, which mostly everyone does in the first world, it's coming for your job. And then past that, it's like there's a sense in which it's coming for your humanity. And so my encouragement, along with what you're saying, Pro, of like, man, do good. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't forget that you're a human, and don't forget the people you're around. Don't forget like the impact you can have on the world. Don't offload everything to this.
Yeah, don't blindly follow the AI. Yeah, you're still you. You have a lot to offer yourself, so just keep going. But for right now, this is the last question. So what would you recommend to people like that like are just starting to use AI? Like what AI program should they use, and what should they do to just kind of like dip their toe into like asking AI like relevant questions? It's not like where it's a step beyond Google.
Something I've used it for that I think is a good like starting place to really see like what the power and kind of the like mystery and interesting level of it is. Like, talk to it about a book or a movie or a story, or like something that you have a decent idea of, but that you would want to talk to someone about. And like, when I'm talking to someone, like for instance, if me and Pro are talking music, like I know I'm going to get some insights past the average person who listens to the top 100 Billboard songs, right? Because like he cares about music, he's passionate, like, and he's very talented and skilled. And just like you said earlier, like he vibe composes, you know what I'm saying? So I know when me and him talk music, it's going to be a different conversation. And so the interesting thing about AI is like, there's some domains you can get that from it. You can talk about a movie or a book and ask it questions. Like, what does this mean? What did these critics say? Like, and you can see how your knowledge and then what it has and you can really start to kind of get a glimpse of like, oh, this is wild.
Like building together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, a practical one would be like, you know, just try to get it to write something for you that you would write and then see what it would do.
See what it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Pro?
I would say, I guess first go to the App Store if you haven't done it. Just get ChatGPT, sign up for an account. One thing I like to do, like I'll have certain ingredients in the kitchen and I'm like, how can I make this recipe? But I only have this. I have like, 12 ounces of chicken and I have like, I don't know, a light bulb and baking soda in the fridge. And like, what can I come up with?
Yeah.
But, like just different ingredients and, how can I do that? Or like if you see a recipe online, you can copy and paste that recipe and say, hey, how can I do this, but make it for 2 to 4 people instead of 8 to 10, something like that. You can scale the recipe down. It'll, tell you different times or tell them, what I've even told it what air fryer I was using. And it gave me specific instructions for that air fryer to modify the recipe. Things like that. Like Eddie said, like deeper meanings in movies or in music. That's a good thing to think. What was the meaning of that ending? What explain Fight Club to me? Like,
Yeah. Food.
Or like Memento or something. I'd say what's some other good stuff that I've done? Really, with me, like musically, like breaking down songs, chord progressions. What did this artist mean? And just then I just go into deep dives and into chord, music theory things in general with it. And how can I maybe I can copy and paste the chord progression and say, how can I change the mood of this? For you music nerds out there, just
That's cool.
every chord progression and key in a song corresponds to a different mood. So, you can just get creative. And there's so many just day-to-day things you can do. Or like in my experience, like a moving checklist is I'm moving. So that's another handy thing. There's just, endless little possibilities. Look around your place and, but that's how I use it.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Eddie, for stopping by. Thank you, Pro, for being an awesome office mate. And thank you guys for joining us, and join us next time.